The quiet of space was broken by an urgent beeping sound aboard the International Space Station. Captain James Miller floated quickly to the communication panel, his coffee mug drifting forgotten behind him. At first, he thought it was just another routine signal from Earth, but the pattern was different. Very different. "Control, are you seeing this?" he asked, his eyes fixed on the strange wavelength pattern dancing across his screen. The signal was unlike anything he had seen in his 15 years of space experience. Down on Earth, in the Houston Space Center, technicians scrambled to analyze the mysterious transmission. The signal was powerful, yet it seemed to come from somewhere past Mars, deep in the solar system's outer reaches. "Captain, we're picking it up too," responded Control. "Stand by for further instructions." What happened next would change humanity's place in the galaxy forever. Within hours, the world's best code breakers and signal analysts were working on the transmission. It took them just 3 days to crack what they discovered was an advanced quantum encryption, something that should have been impossible with Earth's current technology. But humans had always been good at doing the impossible. The message they uncovered was shocking. A distress call from an alien fleet of 300 ships, stranded in the Kuiper Belt after their navigation systems failed. In a secret United Nations meeting, world leaders gathered to discuss this unprecedented situation. The alien fleet belonged to the Stellar Assembly, an advanced civilization that had been watching Earth from afar, considering humans too primitive to contact. "They're stuck out there," explained Dr. Anna Ross, Earth's leading expert in deep space communications. She stood before the UN Security Council, her laser pointer circling a spot far beyond Neptune on the stellar map. "Their main systems are failing one by one. Life support is starting to go down. They need help, but they don't know we can hear them." The room erupted in heated debate. Some leaders wanted to ignore the signal, arguing that revealing Earth's capabilities might be dangerous. Others saw it as humanity's chance to prove itself to the galaxy. "We can't just let them die out there," argued the Secretary General. "Whether they think we're primitive or not, we have a duty to help." Meanwhile, aboard the alien flagship, Admiral Reed paced in his command center. The tall, blue-skinned alien leader had never imagined his fleet would face such a crisis. Their quantum navigation cores, the pride of Stellar Assembly technology, had been rendered useless by an unexpected radiation field in the Kuiper Belt. Without them, the fleet was blind and slowly dying. "Sir," called out his second-in-command, "we're picking up a response to our distress call." Admiral Reed froze. "Impossible. The nearest assembly fleet is months away." "Sir, it's coming from Earth." The Admiral rushed to the communication screen, his mandibles clicking in disbelief. The message was clear, sent in perfect assembly language. "This is Earth. We hear you. We can help." Back on Earth, Captain Miller had been chosen as humanity's representative for the first video contact. He sat in the ISS communication room, heart pounding as the alien transmission came through. The sight of Admiral Reed's alien face on the screen was both terrifying and amazing. The Admiral's compound eyes widened as he saw the human captain. "You decoded our quantum encryption?" Reed asked in disbelief. Miller smiled. "We did, and we think we can help with your navigation problem too. We've been solving space travel issues with backup systems and alternative methods for years. But your species is classified as pre-spacefaring. Your technology should be centuries behind ours." "With all respect, Admiral," Miller replied, "sometimes the simplest solutions are the best ones. Will you accept our help?" There was a long pause as Reed considered the offer. His fleet was dying. His people were at risk. And here was a supposedly primitive species, offering help they shouldn't even be capable of providing. Finally, Reed nodded. "We accept." And with those 2 words, humanity took its first step into a much larger universe, ready to show the galaxy that being primitive didn't mean being helpless. Sometimes it just meant finding simpler, better ways to solve complex problems. The next 24 hours on Earth were the busiest in human history. Every space agency scrambled to prepare for humanity's first official contact with alien life. The UN Space Council had set up their main operations center in Geneva, where hundreds of experts gathered to plan the rescue mission. Dr. Tom Wilson stood at the front of the packed conference room, pointing at technical diagrams on the main screen. As NASA's top engineer, he had been chosen to lead the rescue effort. The stellar assembly ships use quantum technology for everything, he explained, his voice clear and steady despite the pressure. But that's exactly their problem. They've become too dependent on complex systems with no backups. In orbit, Captain Miller prepared the International Space Station for its new role as Earth's first alien embassy. He watched as his crew converted the observation module into a meeting room, complete with special atmospheric controls to accommodate the alien visitors. The first shuttle from the assembly fleet was due to arrive in 6 hours. Admiral Reed, meanwhile, had to face the Assembly High Council's anger over accepting help from Earth. The massive view screen in his command center showed the faces of 12 angry council members. "You've exposed our presence to a primitive species," thundered Council Leader Black, his crystalline head glowing red with fury. "This goes against every protocol we have." Reed stood his ground. "With all respect, they detected our signal and decoded our encryption. They're far from primitive. And right now, they're our only hope of saving 300,000 lives." The Council couldn't argue with that fact. Their fleet was stranded, and Earth was the only help within reach. The shuttle's arrival at the ISS was broadcast worldwide. Humans everywhere watched as the sleek silver craft, shaped like a teardrop, gracefully docked with the station. The whole world held its breath as the airlock cycled. Admiral Reed stepped through first, ducking his tall frame under the station's ceiling. Behind him came his chief engineer and medical officer. Their blue skin and compound eyes looked almost beautiful under the station's lights. Captain Miller stepped forward. "Welcome to Earth's International Space Station, Admiral Reed." The alien leader looked around with obvious surprise. This is more advanced than our records suggested." "We've been busy," Miller replied with a smile. "Would you like to see our proposed solution for your fleet?" The next few hours changed everything the assembly thought they knew about humans. Dr. Wilson, connected via video link, explained their plan. The humans would help create simple backup systems using basic electromagnetic principles, technology the assembly had abandoned centuries ago in favor of quantum systems. "Sometimes the old ways are the most reliable," Wilson explained, showing them designs for a magnetic navigation system that could work alongside their quantum cores. "We've learned to keep backup systems simple. Simple things break less often." The alien engineers looked at the designs with growing interest. One of them, studying a particular diagram, suddenly brightened in understanding, their equivalent of a smile. This could actually work," the alien engineer said. "We never considered using such basic principles as a backup. We thought newer always meant better." Admiral Reed turned to Miller. "Your people truly understand something we forgot long ago. The value of, what do you call it?" "Redundancy," Miller replied. "Having a plan B. And usually, plan B should be simpler than plan A." The medical officer spoke up, her voice musical. "Our life support systems have maybe 2 weeks left. Can your solution be implemented in time?" Dr. Wilson nodded through the video link. "We can have the first prototype ready in 3 days. If it works, we can start upgrading the entire fleet immediately." Reed's compound eyes studied the humans carefully. "Why are you helping us? We've ignored your species, classified you as primitive. Yet here you are, offering to save us." Miller's answer was simple. "Because you need help. That's all the reason we need." The Admiral was quiet for a long moment. Finally, he extended his 4-fingered hand in what their research told them was the Earth gesture of agreement. "Then let us begin. And thank you." As Miller shook the alien's hand, He knew that the galaxy would never see humanity the same way again. The age of Earth's isolation was over, and it had ended not with war or fear, but with the simple act of offering help to those in need. The alien ship's engine room was unlike anything Dr. Tom Wilson had ever seen. Quantum cores pulsed with soft blue light, and holographic displays floated in the air. But right now, all he cared about was the failed navigation system in front of him. The radiation from this region of space is affecting the quantum calculations, explained the alien engineer, Mark. They had all taken simple Earth names to make communication easier. Our systems can't compensate fast enough. Tom nodded, running his hand through his graying hair. He had been on the alien flagship for 3 days now, leading a team of Earth's best engineers. They had been studying the alien technology around the clock, looking for a way to save the fleet. "Show me how the system worked before it failed," he asked. The holographic display came to life, showing complex quantum calculations that would have impressed any Earth scientist. But Tom wasn't looking at the complexity. He was looking for something simpler. "There's your problem," he said, pointing to a particular sequence. "Your backup systems are just as complex as your main systems. When one fails, they all fail." Mark's compound eyes blinked in confusion. Of course, they need to be complex to handle the calculations. Tom smiled and pulled out an old-fashioned notebook, paper, and pen. The alien engineers watched in fascination as he began to draw. "Not necessarily. Look at this." He sketched a simple magnetic compass, then added some basic electronic components around it. Sometimes the old ways work best. Earth ships still carry basic magnetic compasses as emergency backups. They can't fail because they have no complex parts to break. The alien engineers gathered around the drawing, their natural blue glow brightening with interest. "But that's primitive," one of them said, then quickly added, "No offense." "None taken," Tom laughed. "But think about it. Your quantum systems are failing because of radiation. A simple magnetic system wouldn't be affected at all. We could build a basic navigation system using magnetic principles and basic electronics. It won't be as precise as your quantum cores, but it will work." The aliens discussed among themselves in their musical language. Finally, Mark turned back to Tom. "How would we power it? Our energy systems are all quantum-based." Tom was ready for this question. He pulled out another diagram, this one showing a simple electromagnetic generator. "We build this first. It's basic technology, spinning magnets creating electricity. No quantum mechanics needed." For the next few hours, Tom and his team explained their plan to the alien engineers. They would create a hybrid system, using Earth's simple, reliable technology as a backup for the aliens' advanced systems. The aliens were surprised by how easily human technology could be adapted to work with their systems. "It's not about being advanced," Tom explained as they began gathering materials. "It's about being reliable. The most advanced solution isn't always the best solution." The work began immediately. Human engineers worked alongside alien technicians, combining their knowledge in ways never before imagined. They started with one ship, building the backup systems piece by piece. Tom watched as the first magnetic generator spun to life, creating power just as it would on Earth. The aliens were amazed by how something so simple could work so well on Earth. Tom explained while they worked, "We learned long ago that space is unforgiving. The simplest solution is often the most reliable. That's why we still use basic backup systems alongside our advanced technology." As the day ended, they had their first prototype ready. It wasn't pretty. A combination of alien quantum technology and human electromagnetic engineering. But when they tested it, it worked perfectly. Mark's eyes glowed with excitement. This could save the entire fleet. Tom nodded, feeling proud of what they had accomplished. That's the beauty of simple solutions. Once you know they work, they're easy to repeat. The news spread quickly through the fleet. The humans had found a way to save them, not with advanced technology, but with basic principles the aliens had forgotten long ago. Admiral Reed visited the engine room to see the prototype himself. He studied it quietly, then turned to Tom. "You've taught us something important," he said. "Progress isn't always about making things more complex. Sometimes it's about remembering the simple things that work." Tom smiled as he watched his team prepare to build more backup systems. Sometimes the best solutions were the ones that had been working all along. Time was running out faster than anyone had expected. The life support systems across the alien fleet were failing more quickly than their initial estimates. What had been 2 weeks of breathing room had suddenly become just 6 days. "Report," Admiral Reed demanded, his voice echoing through the flagship's command center. Mark, the alien engineer, projected the fleet's status into the air. Red warning symbols floated above more than half of the 300 ships. "The quantum cascade is spreading. When one system fails, it's causing others to fail faster." Dr. Tom Wilson studied the holographic display, his face lit by the red warning lights. They had successfully tested their hybrid navigation system on 5 ships, but there were still 295 to go. "We need to work faster," Tom said, turning to his human engineering team. "New plan. We split into 10 teams. Each team takes a ship. We work in parallel." Admiral Reed's compound eyes flickered with concern. "The radiation levels are dangerous for humans in some of these ships." "Then we'll wear radiation suits," Tom replied simply. "We're not leaving your people to die." The next few days became a blur of endless work. Human engineers in bulky radiation suits moved from ship to ship, teaching alien crews how to build and install the hybrid systems. The aliens learned quickly, amazed by how effective the simple backup systems were. In the engine room of the ship Star Whisper, Tom wiped sweat from his forehead inside his radiation suit. The ship's life support was barely working, making the air hot and thin. But the hybrid system was almost ready. "Power test in 3, 2, 1, he called out. The magnetic generator spun to life, its simple design working perfectly. The aliens watched in wonder as their quantum displays stabilized, powered by technology they had considered obsolete centuries ago. "It's working," Mark exclaimed, his blue skin glowing brighter with excitement. "This ship's navigation is back online." But there was no time to celebrate. They still had hundreds of ships to save, and time was their enemy. On the 15th ship, they had a breakthrough. One of the human engineers, Bill, discovered a way to speed up the installation process. "If we pre-assemble the major components," he explained, "we can cut installation time in half." The discovery changed everything. Workstations were set up in the flagship's cargo bay, where teams of humans and aliens worked together, building the backup systems assembly line style. What had taken a day per ship now took just hours. But even with the faster process, it was going to be close. Very close. "Life support failing on the outer ring ships," reported an alien technician. "Estimated 3 hours of breathable air remaining." Tom looked at the status display. They still had 30 ships to go, and only 2 hours left. "Get me a shuttle," he ordered. "We're going to the outer ring." Admiral Reed stepped forward. "The radiation levels there are twice what we've dealt with so far. Even with suits, it's not safe." "Those ships have families on them," Tom replied, already heading for the shuttle bay. "We're not giving up." The next 2 hours were the most intense of the rescue mission. Human engineers, working through damaged radiation suits, raced to install the hybrid systems. Alien crews, struggling to breathe the thinning air, worked alongside them. With 30 minutes of air remaining, they'd reached the last ship. Tom's radiation suit was showing dangerous exposure levels, but he kept working. His hands moved quickly, connecting wires and aligning magnetic fields. "Final power test," he called out, his voice hoarse. "Starting now." The hybrid system hummed to life. Across the ship, systems began to stabilize. The life support, running on the new power source, began pumping fresh air. They had done it. All 300 ships were saved. Back on the flagship, Admiral Reed made an announcement to the entire fleet. Thanks to our human friends, we have not just survived, but learned a valuable lesson. The most advanced solution is not always the best solution. Sometimes, the simple answers are the ones that save lives. Tom, resting in the medical bay and being treated for radiation exposure, smiled as he heard the cheer that went up from both humans and aliens across the fleet. They had done the impossible, not with advanced technology, but with simple, reliable engineering and the determination to help others. Just when everyone thought the worst was over, alarms blared throughout the flagship. Red emergency lights pulsed across every deck, and the quantum core at the heart of the massive ship began to emit a high-pitched whine. Power surge in the main reactor. Mark shouted, his blue fingers flying across the holographic controls. The quantum field is destabilizing. Dr. Tom Wilson, still recovering from radiation exposure in the medical bay, sat up quickly. "Get me to the engine room," he demanded, pulling off the medical sensors attached to his chest. The alien doctor tried to stop him. "You haven't fully recovered. That ship explodes, we lose the Admiral, and 50,000 people," Tom interrupted. "I'm going." The situation in the engine room was chaos. The quantum core, a massive cylinder of swirling energy, was pulsing with dangerous intensity. Alien engineers rushed around, trying desperately to contain the surge. Admiral Reed stood at the control station, his usual calm demeanor showing cracks of worry. "The backup system is drawing too much power through the quantum field," he explained as Tom arrived. "It's creating a feedback loop." Tom studied the readings quickly. The simple magnetic generators they had installed were pulling energy from the quantum core in an unexpected way. The interaction between the two technologies was creating a dangerous buildup of power. "We need to shut down the quantum core," an alien engineer suggested. "No," Tom said, watching the energy patterns. "That's exactly what we don't need to do." He turned to Mark. "Remember what I said about simple solutions. We're thinking too complicated again." Tom grabbed a piece of paper and started drawing. The aliens gathered around, watching as he sketched out a basic electromagnetic circuit. "The power surge is like water pressure," Tom explained. "Right now, we're trying to stop it by building a stronger dam. But what we really need is to give it somewhere to go," Mark finished, his eyes brightening with understanding. "Exactly. We build a simple electromagnetic release valve. When the power builds up too much, it automatically diverts into this backup circuit. Basic electronics, no quantum physics needed." Admiral Reed stepped forward. "The surge is getting stronger. How long will this take to build?" Tom looked at his sketch, then at the pulsing quantum core. 20 minutes. Maybe less if we hurry." "The core will reach critical levels in 25 minutes, Mark reported. "Then we better move fast," Tom said, already gathering materials. The next 20 minutes were a blur of activity. Human and alien engineers worked side by side, building the electromagnetic circuit piece by piece. The quantum core's whine grew louder with each passing minute. "Core reaching 90% of critical," someone shouted. Tom connected the last wire of their makeshift release valve. It was ugly, a combination of alien quantum tech and basic Earth electronics, but it didn't need to be pretty. It just needed to work. "Everyone stand back," he ordered, activating the circuit in 3, 2, 1. He flipped the switch. For a moment, nothing happened. The quantum core continued its dangerous pulse. Then, slowly, the high-pitched whine began to fade. The dangerous energy found its new path, flowing through the simple circuit and dissipating harmlessly. "Power levels dropping," Mark reported, relief clear in his voice. 80%, 60, 40. Admiral Reed watched in amazement as the crisis subsided. The simple solution had worked where all their advanced technology had failed. "How did you know this would work?" he asked Tom. "On Earth, we have a saying," Tom replied, checking the circuit's connections. "Keep it simple, Stupid. The more complex something is, the more ways it can go wrong. The Admiral was quiet for a moment. We've become so focused on advancing our technology, he said finally, that we forgot the basic principles it's built on. Your people haven't just saved our fleet. You've reminded us of something important. Tom smiled. Sometimes you need to take a step back to move forward. The news of the flagship's near disaster spread quickly through the fleet, but with it came a new respect for human ingenuity. The aliens had expected their saviors to arrive in advanced ships with superior technology. Instead, they had been saved by simple solutions and basic engineering principles they had long forgotten. As the quantum core hummed quietly in its new, stable state, Admiral Reed made a decision. It was time to report to the Assembly Council. Humanity had proven themselves far more valuable than anyone had imagined, and the galaxy needed to know. 2 weeks after the power surge crisis, the flagship's main laboratory had transformed into something entirely new. Humans and aliens worked side by side at workstations that mixed holographic displays with simple Earth equipment. Dr. Tom Wilson stood at the center of it all, watching as his team tested their latest creation. Power flow is stable, Mark reported, his blue fingers dancing across both quantum controls and basic electronic switches. The hybrid core is running at full capacity. What they had built was revolutionary, a perfect blend of human and alien technology. After saving the fleet, Tom and his team hadn't stopped working. They had taken their emergency solution and turned it into something more. "Show me the efficiency readings," Tom requested, studying the displays. The numbers were impressive. Their new hybrid navigation system was using 30% less power than the pure quantum system, while being twice as reliable. It combined the precision of alien quantum technology with the simple reliability of human engineering. Admiral Reed entered the laboratory, followed by several members of the Assembly Council who had arrived to inspect the innovation. Their crystalline heads glowed with different colors as they observed the system. "Explain how this works," requested Council Leader Black, who had once been so against accepting human help. Tom stepped forward. "Think of it like having both a computer and a paper map," he said, keeping his explanation simple. "The quantum system handles the complex calculations, while our electromagnetic backup provides a constant baseline. If one fails, the other takes over instantly." He demonstrated by intentionally creating a power surge in the quantum system. Instead of failing, the hybrid core smoothly switched to the backup, then restored quantum function once the surge passed. "Remarkable," muttered one of the council members. "And this can be installed in all assembly ships." "We've already adapted it for different ship classes," Mark answered proudly. "The basic principles work the same way regardless of ship size or type." The news spread quickly across the galaxy. Other alien species in the assembly began requesting the new human-designed technology. Ships that had suffered from quantum cascade failures for years could now be upgraded with reliable hybrid systems. In the flagship's meeting room, Tom sat with Admiral Reed, watching a holographic display of incoming requests from across the assembly. "Your simple solution has changed everything," Reed said, gesturing at the growing list of ships requesting upgrades. "The assembly thought we needed more advanced technology to solve our problems. Instead, we needed to remember the basics." Tom nodded. "That's the thing about technology. Sometimes moving forward means looking back at what worked before. We don't abandon old solutions just because we have new ones." The laboratory had become a training center, with alien engineers from across the galaxy coming to learn about human engineering principles. They were fascinated by how Earth ships used multiple backup systems, each simpler than the last. "Your species plans for failure," Mark observed, watching a training session. "We always tried to make systems that couldn't fail." "Everything can fail," Tom replied. "The trick is having a backup plan when it does, preferably a simple one." As the day ended, Admiral Reed called a meeting of the entire fleet. The holographic projectors showed his image on every ship. "Thanks to our human friends," he announced, "we have not only survived but grown stronger. Their hybrid technology will be installed on every assembly ship. But more importantly, they have taught us a valuable lesson about progress. He paused, looking directly at Tom and his team. True advancement isn't always about making things more complex. Sometimes it's about remembering the simple things that work and building upon them wisely. The council members, who had once dismissed humans as primitive, now stood in agreement. Humanity had proven that being less advanced didn't mean being less capable. Sometimes it meant having a clearer perspective on what really mattered. Tom looked around at his team, both human and alien, all working together to build something new. They had done more than save a fleet. They had bridged the gap between two civilizations, proving that progress comes in many forms. 1 month after the rescue of the alien fleet, the United Nations Assembly Hall in New York was filled with both humans and aliens. It was a historic day. Earth's formal invitation to join the Stellar Assembly was about to be presented. Dr. Tom Wilson sat in the front row, still amazed by how much had changed in just a few weeks. Next to him, Mark's blue skin glowed with excitement as they watched Admiral Reed approach the podium. 1 month ago, Reed began, his voice carried through both standard speakers and quantum translators. Our fleet faced certain destruction. We had dismissed humanity as primitive, unworthy of contact. Today, I stand here to admit how wrong we were. The hall was silent, every eye, human and alien, fixed on the Admiral. Humanity showed us something we had forgotten. They showed us that progress isn't just about having the most advanced technology. It's about wisdom in how you use it. On the massive screen behind him, images appeared showing the hybrid systems now being installed on ships across the galaxy. The simple but effective combination of human and alien technology had already prevented 3 major disasters in other fleets. The Assembly Council has voted unanimously, Reed continued. Earth is hereby invited to join the Stellar Assembly as a full-member world, with all rights and privileges. The hall erupted in applause. Humans and aliens stood together, celebrating not just Earth's membership, but the beginning of something new. Later that day, at a smaller ceremony in the flagship's newly rebuilt engine room, Tom watched as human and alien engineers worked together, teaching each other their ways of thinking. "I never thought I'd see this," Mark said, standing beside him. "Look there, we're teaching quantum physics to humans, while they teach us about mechanical backup systems. Both sides learning from each other." Tom smiled. "That's the real breakthrough, isn't it? Not the technology, but the understanding between our peoples." Across the galaxy, things were changing. Assembly ships began carrying both quantum cores and simple backup systems. Alien engineers studied Earth's approach to problem-solving, while human scientists learned about advanced quantum technology. Admiral Reed joined them in the engine room, watching the collaboration with pride. "The Council has approved something else," he announced. "We're establishing a new engineering academy. Both humans and assembly engineers will teach there, sharing both advanced technology and simple solutions." "Who would have thought?" Tom laughed. "A month ago, we were considered too primitive to contact. Now we're teaching at an assembly academy." "About that word, primitive," Reed said thoughtfully. "I've been thinking about what it really means. Your species may have less advanced technology, but you understand something vital that we have forgotten." "What's that?" Tom asked. "The importance of balance, of not relying too heavily on any one solution. You've taught us that true advancement means keeping the best of the old while embracing the new." The Admiral's words proved prophetic. Over the next few months, the combination of human practicality and alien advanced technology led to breakthroughs nobody had expected. Ships became safer, systems more reliable, and the gap between Earth and assembly technology began to narrow. 1 year after the rescue, Tom stood on the observation deck of Earth's first hybrid-powered starship. Built with both human and alien technology, it represented everything they had achieved together. Admiral Reed stood beside him, watching Earth grow smaller as they headed for the stars. "You know what the Council said in their last meeting?" he asked. They said that finding your fleet in trouble was the best thing that could have happened to the assembly. Tom raised an eyebrow. Really? Why's that? Because it taught us humility. It showed us that no civilization has all the answers. Progress comes not from thinking you're superior, but from being willing to learn from others. As their ship accelerated toward the stars, powered by both quantum energy and simple human engineering, Tom thought about how far they'd come. A distress call had turned into first contact, then into a rescue, and finally into a partnership that would change the galaxy forever. So, Reed asked with what Tom had learned was an alien smile, ready to see what else we can learn from each other. Tom nodded, watching the stars stretch out before them. The age of human isolation was over, replaced by something far better. An era of shared wisdom, where the simple and the advanced work together in perfect harmony.